Welcome back. Now we'll be talking about a very important issue, which is the project, the national project of the development of the Suez Canal access. Today, the Prime Minister, Engineer Ibrahim Mahlab, is expected to announce the alliance of the companies which are going to take place in the work of development in the Suez Canal access. What is the importance of such a project on the Egyptian economy, and how this project could help the whole region, not only Egypt? To shed more light on the issue, we are delighted to have our dear guest, Mr. Abdul Latif Wahba, the journalist and writer. Hello, sir, and thank you for joining us.
Good morning.
A very good morning to you, sir. The Suez Canal, a very important mega project, the development of the Suez Canal access. From an economic point of view, how will this project make a difference with the Egyptian economy, in your opinion?
Let us first say that the result of the tender will be declared tomorrow. It was cancelled as Mr. Ibrahim Mahlab was in a visit to Sharm el-Sheikh. And postponed until tomorrow. But let us to say that the Suez Canal is a very important and vital issue for the Egyptian economy.
Indeed.
If we take into consideration that the monthly revenue of Suez Canal is about, in the average, is about 400 million US dollar monthly, about 5.3 billion dollars yearly. And you have to take also into consideration that this revenue came only from crossing through the border, through the waterway, from north to south, from south to north, and so on. And we didn't exploit the area since the inaugurations of the Suez Canal. So I think the last project will create new zones in the area, logistic zones, industrial zones, trade zones, and all the world can use such area. At the same time, I think that the project will attract all the overseas companies and all the international investors to invest in this area, especially if we remember the Chinese were the first to invest in Suez Canal Gulf and in some area near the Suez Canal. So we can say that this project will double the Suez Canal revenue to about $12 billion yearly.
Sir, since we are talking about the economic profits and benefits of the project, what about the job opportunities that now this project could be creating throughout its establishment in different phases?
Of course, when we develop the area, it will create a new job in many fields, in industry, in trade, in logistic areas, and so on. I think the government is preparing a master plan to use the Egyptian youths and the graduates, university graduates, to work in such a project. As you know that we have an unemployment rate about 13.3%. When we opened such a project, it will decrease from the unemployment between graduate and youths, and even in the area of the Suez Canal and the Suez province, Ismailia, and the Portside, North and South Sinai.
Indeed.
Indeed, this is a very important project, especially in this upcoming period. You mentioned it will make Egypt a logistical center. How so, in your opinion, will Egypt be on the forefront of such an issue?
As you know that the Suez Canal, about 10% of the world trade crossing through the Suez Canal. When we make it in two ways, after digging the new sewer, the new canal. I think it will attract more vessels from the international companies, especially in oil tankers, trade and the cargo vessels to cross through Suez Canal. You will create some area can use all the international transport vessels can use such area as in Jabal Ali in Dubai. So it will play an important role in the area for the international trade between north and south, between east and west.
Sir, since you have just mentioned Jabal Ali in Dubai, could the new Suez Canal, after its development, be a real competitor to the port in Dubai?
Let us say that Jabal Ali and the Suez Canal will not be in a conflict. As you know, that every area has some characteristics completely different from the others, because Jabal Ali depends upon the oil tanker, also the trade transportations, and they use it as a transit for the long between the east and the west. I think they can go the two, I mean Jabal Ali and the Suez Canal, can go with each others and complete each others, especially, and the Emirati investors also will invest in Suez Canal. If it is a competition with Jabal Ali, I think the Emirati will not come to invest in Suez Canal.
Right. Let's talk a bit about the funding for such a mega project. There has been a very big hype, and the project has been marketed as for Egyptians by Egyptians. And of course, we've all recently watched the whole idea of the bank certificates that can be bought for several years. There's a whole economic strategy to collect the money by Egyptians and to reimburse the Egyptians. So tell us a bit about the funding for this mega project.
There was a great discussions about how to finance such a historical project. Some experts asked for issuing shares and bonds and so on, and the others so that investment certificates may be important for the Egyptians, especially after President Abdul al-Sisi declared that the Egyptians only are the people who can dig the canal, work in it, and operate it at the same time. I think the presidency chose the most easy way to finance Suez Canal. They choose to issue investment certificates from the public banks like Al-Ahli, Bank de Misr, Bank du Caire, and they declared it for the Egyptians. I think the next week will launch such issuing, but the government give also some facilities for the Egyptians, as you will buy the investment Suez Canal investment with any numbers. At the same time, you will get 12% interest rate. You can get the interest rate every 3 months. This will be easy for the Egyptians. At the same time, there were a dispute about the shares and international bonds at the same time. Shares may be to some extent difficult, as Egypt suffered from the family ownership in the past. And this is also, there are many cases were filed in the courts and so on. So when we issue investment certificates, it will be transparent, easy for the Egyptians to get it.
And finally, sir, as we are running out of time, what is the strategic importance of such a project?
It will play an important role for the Egyptian economy, as we mentioned before. It will double the Suez Canal revenue, and at the same time, it will decrease or maybe elevate from the unemployment rate in Egypt. You will create strategic industries and also trade zone and logistic zones in Egypt. I think all the international company will be interested in such project in the coming years. Maybe after digging the second canal.
Indeed. Right. Mr. Abdul Latif Wahba, writer and journalist, many thanks for joining us this morning on this edition of The Breakfast Show.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
And with this, we come to the end of this edition from The Breakfast Show. I would like to thank my dear colleague, Angie Meher. Thank you, Angie.
Pleasure. Thank you, Mehersi, and thank you to all our viewers for joining us. Do join us again tomorrow morning for another edition. Till then, it's goodbye.
Bye.